Hello everyone, Sandre here. Today I'm going to respond to a person who really doesn't need responding to because he belongs to a group of people who rightfully are scorned and laughed at across all of the internet. However, I will do so anyway just for my own amusement. Thing is though, the guy that I'm responding to, he actually terminated his own account, I believe, or maybe was shut down by YouTube. But I don't know why his YouTube channel is no longer up, and I'm gonna assume for his own sake that it's perhaps because he wanted to keep his identity concealed. Maybe he realized that putting his opinions out there wasn't the smartest move. As such, I've decided to hide his face in this video behind a blurring filter. If he really is concerned about his anonymity, then that's the least I can do, I think. Besides, what matters is his stupid opinions, not him as a person. In this video, he argues that the Coriolis effect, although he pronounces it the Coriolis. But the Coriolis effect, apparently according to this guy, disproves that the Earth is round. Yeah, let's watch it.
You know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about the Coriolis effect. And don't worry, folks. If you don't know what Coriolis effect is, don't worry, you don't have to know. Because I don't get scientific in these stupid videos, okay?
So let me see if I get this straight. You think you can lecture people on something you don't even really understand. And you don't understand this by your own admission. The fuck? Anyway, let me explain what the Coriolis effect actually is. Let's say that you have a rotating medium, and an object is traveling in it. The object actually has a form of inertia that will push it to curve around, and the vector of the curve actually depends on the direction and the orientation. Here is a simple illustration showing what I'm talking about. Once you get the hang of it, it's really not that hard of a concept. Now, the Coriolis effect has been measured and understood for a long time. The Coriolis effect actually partially explains why certain areas of the world are very humid and other areas are very dry. Take Australia, for instance. The eastern coast of Australia is very humid and has a lot of rainfall, while the western part of Australia is very dry. But more on this later.
They tell us the Coriolis effect, like it affects because the ball, or you know, the way it spins, that it causes a certain effect on certain things, like water, okay? Supposedly in Australia, compared to America, in Australia, the water spins the opposite way when it goes down a drain, okay?
The Coriolis effect does decide how water moves to some degree, but the input is actually not especially not on a controlled body of water, such as in your faucet or in your bowl. Other more direct things, such as how the faucet is actually structured, or the bowl, or how the bowl is actually shaped and its imperfections, all of that actually plays far more of an important role when it comes to in what direction the water will flush. If you were to somehow remove these factors though, yes, the Coriolis effect would indeed decide in what direction, clockwise or counterclockwise, the water would be drained in. For instance, in the southern hemisphere, the rotation of the water being drained would be clockwise, while in the northern hemisphere it would be anti-clockwise. But you don't need to do a thought experiment about water being drained in a faucet or a toilet bowl to understand the Coriolis effect and see it directly. You can actually see this in tropical storms. Hurricanes in the southern hemisphere actually spins clockwise, while in the northern hemisphere they spin anti-clockwise.
Now let's forget about the toilet, because see, the toilet, they can make it spin whichever way they want, because when you first flush the toilet, if they want to make it, you know, shoot out a certain way, it can go down the drain the same way.
I've already covered this, so let's continue.
Okay, so let's just say that in Australia it does spin a different way, but it doesn't mean it's because of a ball earth, folks. It could be on a flat land and half the land is on this side is different because of some magnetic shift.
Now, it is true that water is actually somewhat magnetic. If you put a frog, for instance, in an MRI, you can actually see the frog, quote-unquote, float around in there due to the strong magnetic field. But the Earth's magnetic field is not nearly strong enough to influence water the same way that the tides do, for instance. If the magnetic field of Earth was actually strong enough to affect water the way you say, you would have some serious implications. Now, I'm not a physicist, but from the top of my head, I can imagine that electronics, at the very least, would have a hard time actually working in such a strong magnetic field. I could be wrong on this, of course, but let's just say that there are some serious implications if the Earth's magnetic field actually could do what you say it does.
All I'm saying is, let's see how they program our mind to make us believe that something different is happening down there, okay?
Let me guess. Are these people who control our minds using magnetic fields just like the Earth does to control the water? Yeah, this shit is just fucked up.
I'm gonna give you an example. Like with American cars, our steering wheels are on the left-hand side. But in Australia, it's on the right-hand side. You get what I'm saying?
You hear that, folks? People drive on different lanes depending on the nation across the world. Obviously, this means that the Coriolis effect is just a lie, and so is that the Earth is round. Fucking kill me.
I don't know who was the first to invent the cars, but it doesn't matter. Why are they not the same? Okay? Again, it's a way to make you believe that something different is going on.
Actually, if you were to look at history, you would find that there's a perfectly natural explanation as to why in some countries across the world, people drive on a different side of the road than on the right lane. Most of these nations were actually colonies of the Brits. That's why. It really is that simple.
And I'll give you another example. Even when they drive down the street, they drive differently, okay? You have to watch it to see it. I don't have any videos on it, but you understand what I'm saying? Even when if they're going this way, the cars, our cars will be going that way on the same side of the street. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, definitely. Let me ask you, do you perhaps have a prescription for, I don't know, lithium, perhaps? Because if you do, maybe it's time that you take your meds.
So here's another example. Let's go with horse racing, okay? In America, the horses go like this. Look, this is the way we run, counterclockwise in America. But in Australia, they run the opposite way.
All right, I'm not sure what you're getting at this point. Like, are you trying to say that the Coriolis effect is fake, and you're trying to use human constructs and how people drive and how horses run as an example to show that the Coriolis effect is wrong, or are you claiming that the Coriolis effect is real and you're just trying to disprove the round Earth by looking at human constructs? It's just none of this shit makes sense. All right? None of this shit makes sense. Now, the only thing I wonder is in what direction your brain loops in. Is it clockwise or anti-clockwise?
Are you telling me that, again, why would they do that? We can run any which way. Coriolis effect is not going to affect us in which way we run. You understand what I'm saying?
Of course it's not going to do that, because the Coriolis effect affects gases and liquids to a very limited degree. The only reason that you see the Coriolis effect having such an impact on our climate is because the Earth is really big. But on a very small scale, you don't see much of an impact at all, which is why you can run in a clockwise or an anti-clockwise manner, round and round and round, just like your brain is looped in a clockwise or an anti-clockwise fashion. Round and round and round and round and round it goes.
Again, it's a programming thing. It's just unbelievable the shit that they would do. You get what I'm saying, folks? It's just ridiculous, man. Think about what I just showed you. Again, like I told you, folks, it's the Jews trying to mess with our mind. Because the Jews are the spawns of Satan.
Oy vey, this goyim is on to us. Oh no, what will we do? I don't know. We need to come up with some kind of plan to fool the goyim. Yes, I know. Let's just change the way people drive. Everyone in the US now will have to drive on the opposite lane. That should do it. Oh, and we need to forbid people from running in a clockwise fashion in the Northern Hemisphere. If they're gonna run in a circle from now on, they're gonna have to run anti-clockwise. Oh, yes, that's an evil Jewish plan, yes. Now, what a finale to a very silly video. Jews. Like, what is it with conspiracy fucktards? It's always about the Jews. You know? You hear about fluoride in the water. You hear about chemtrails. You hear about the Illuminati. And I promise you, at some fucking point, they're always gonna get to the Jews. They're always gonna mention the Jews. The Jews are in charge of everything, it turns out. That train is never fucking late. I promise you, people. I fucking promise you. I've seen too much of this shit. It always boils down to the Jews. Jesus fucking Christ. Oy vey.